Well, petition to amend the zoning regulations and map of Benoit for the local record. Mr. Mayor is no longer seated. I am back as chairman.
We missed you there.
This is eligible for decision, and I would entertain, I want to check your eligibility. See one more time that you listen to the tapes. They're not really tapes for our younger people, they're not tapes, they're recordings. And I would entertain a motion to approve or deny this motion.
I would like to move denial. Would you please read the motion?
Draft motion to deny application AR 16-060 submitted by Tyler Schwinn. Addition to amend the zoning regulations, change of zone boundary, zone classification, rezoning of 1519-2123 West Main Street to 6 John Street extension totaling 68,561 square feet from in part business B-3 and in part industrial I-1 to Main Street District MSD-1 zone. Preamble, the Planning and Zoning Commission received an application to amend the zoning map and regulations of the town of Clinton submitted by Doug Stone. As submitted, the proposal would be to rezone the area bounded by Hall Street on the east, West Main Street on the south, and John Street extension on the west, and on the railroad station and associated improvements to the north. The existing split north-south between I-1 and B-3 would be replaced by one zone, MSD-1, with its associated uses and requirements. The amendment to section 21.3.1 subsection B would add subsection 1, which lists the specific location where MSD-1 would be applicable. The application was received by the Commission on the May 9, 2016 meeting and sent out for public hearing. The public hearing opened July 5, 2016 and closed at the meeting. The public hearing, the applicant presented testimony, members of the public were permitted to present evidence orally and in writing related to the merits of the application. The Commission received written comments from planning consultant David Batts, President of the Clinton Historical Society, Larry Ouellette, Chairman of the Clinton Historical District Commission, Hal Zuschler, Mary Wagner, Walter Bauer, Cheryl Cox, including those from Dan Wilkes and Linda Wilkes, and correspondence from Aiden Moran, which attached materials entitled EL Study 100% Renewal by 2030 Clinton, Connecticut, and taking action on climate change 2014 progress report prepared by the Clinton Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. The zoning officer, Eric Knapp, also submitted a memorandum. Part 2, materials submitted into the record. While the following is not complete list of all materials submitted into the record, the Commission specifically notes the following items to proceed and review. Change of the zone boundary, zone classification, rezoning of 15, 19, 21, and 23 West Main Street and 6 John Street extension, totaling 68,561 square feet from in part business B-3 and in part industrial I-1 to Main Street District and B-1 zone. Submitted by Douglas Bowen, applicant. Statement of the use dated April 24, 2016, submitted by the applicant. Review letter from John Gadowski and AICPC and the Associates dated June 27, 2016, evaluating proposed text amendments. Correspondence from David Batts, President of the Clinton Historical Society, dated June 15, 2016. Correspondence from Larry Ouellette, Chairman of the Clinton Historical District Commission, dated June 16, 2016. Email correspondence from Mount Tressler, dated June 23, 2016. Correspondence from Mary Wagner, dated June 28, 2016. Correspondence from David Moran, dated June 30, 2016, with two attachments entitled EL Study 100% Renewable by 2030, Connecticut, and taking action on climate change 2014 progress report prepared by the Clinton Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. Memorandum from Eric Knapp, zoning officer of the town of Clinton, dated June 23, 2016. 2 emails dated June 4, 2016 from Dan and Linda Wilkes expressing their opposition to the proposed text amendment. Part 3, findings of fact based on the evidence submitted to the record. The Commission makes the following findings. The application is substantially complete and all required submissions have been reviewed or received. The Commission has held a properly noticed public hearing to receive public comment on the proposed text. The landing of MSD-1 zoning district in the location proposed by the applicant is inconsistent with the town's plan of conservation and development and relating purposes of the MSD-1 zoning district. A is noted in the report submitted by the Commission's planning consultant. It is clear that at this point, whether the specific end use and design presented by the applicant as part of the plan, the quote-unquote plan for the MSD1 zone, fully meets both the plan of conservation and development and the purposes of MSD-1 zone. The language of the MSD-1 purpose establishes in the planning consultant's view a very high bar for traditional Main Street design and village scale compatibility. 2, based on the site plan that accompanied the application, there are numerous ways in which standards of the MSD-1 are not met. And Salmo DeLay, the former chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, testified that the commission had worked extremely hard to get the plan of conservation right, and that this proposal, in his opinion, was not consistent with the goals for the plan of the Clinton Center part of town. See the evidence provided by the Clinton Historical Society and the Clinton Historic District Commission demonstrates that this proposal is inconsistent with the goals of the plan of conservation and development to protect this area as a quote-unquote gateway to the Clinton Center area, and that these areas are quote-unquote important historic areas where the commission should use to design standards to protect the historic and civil buildings. For the proposed amendments are not consistent with the comprehensive plan. The buildings in this part of town tend to be older and more of a historic, quote-unquote, historical nature in the other parts of town. The written materials submitted by the Clinton Historical Society and then the Historic District Commission emphasized the importance of this area as a gateway to the Clinton Center area, which is characterized by quote-unquote historic village setting. Decision in conditions. Based upon the above findings of fact, the Planning and Zoning Commission hereby votes to deny the application AR 16-0608 at Clinton, Connecticut, the 11th day of July 2016.
Do we have a second? Second.
I'd like to add to the motion if I can.
Pardon me?
I would like to add to the motion if
I'd like
possible.
to amend the
Amend the motion.
motion.
In the page 33 of the POCD, industrial and commercial development, economic development, investment in commercial property in Clinton must attract new businesses that do not already exist here. Moving existing businesses and leaving more empty storefronts does not contribute to overall development. Page 52 of the POCD, Clinton Center sub-area C, there's great potential for mixed-use development, specifically commercial, on the street level and residential and office on upper floors. And MSD1 does not apply with that.
I accept.
Mr. Kravitz accepts, that should be added to the motion. Discussion.
I think, one of the things that, is kind of troubling here is that the public hearing that we had, when people came out and spoke about the historic buildings and the traffic flow, we did this one. First of all, this is a privately owned piece of land. At any point, the owner of this land can demolish these buildings that are on it. And at which point, what are we stuck with? People that are fighting for the historic buildings are going to lose those historic buildings. And something is going to happen, obviously, because he's looking to do something with the property. The other thing that we can't do is control what goes there. Because right now, he can, if what he puts on there meets our regulations, he can put whatever he wants there. Knock down those buildings, doesn't have to get a variance, he can put whatever he wants. And we have no control over it. So denying an application where we now do have some control about what goes there. The traffic concerns are the traffic concerns. There is a concern for that. But you can go down Route 1 right now and there's traffic all the time. So, moving the location of the building, because they feel and they would like, a drive-through on their location, it kind of, puts us in a position where then what happens if they do go look someplace else? Guess where they can look? Anywhere they want. And it doesn't have to be in Clinton. So we've lost our historic buildings, we've lost our CVS, and we have nothing.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I, to a certain extent, agree with Chris. Right now we have two sets of properties that are somewhat derelict. So if we have the opportunity to fix at least one of them, that could be a positive. If you look at the current zoning, the B3 portion of that is already zoned for retail and drive-through. It's just the I-1 that's not. Right now it's zoned for a motel. So you can put a motel over there. You could put retail over there. You could put a restaurant, not a restaurant, but a certain size food service with a drive-up window there right now. It's already zoned for that. You could put a warehouse there in the I-1. a funeral home, a laundromat. There's a whole host of things that could go there that people may or may not want. So for this application, which is merely a land floating zone, I think it's consistent with our plan of conservation development. And, you know, regardless of what comes next, I think I'm in favor of moving forward.
Anybody else?
On the plan of conservation and development, did envision rezoning this area as part of the downtown focus area, and such rezoning probably would have been aimed for the kind of development that Kristen was talking about, multi-story, minimal setback. My objection to this zone is the fact that it allows the implementation of a parking lot right on the property line in the second gateway to town. So it's the possibility of a parking lot right in that corner that I object to.
But the other option is to do what we've already talked about. He can sell to whoever he wants, and then we're going to have something that, I mean,
We did envision rezoning this area.
well, and there's the vision, right, but the vision also revolves around, unfortunately, it's a privately owned property. And basically, he can do with it what he wants. I mean, that's the long and the short of
Before
it.
it's rezoned.
And I mean, but now if we do something like this, we have control. We lose control.
I think he could actually tear the village down and put it in the parking lot.
He's already met his
nothing
demolition
in it.
standards.
He could, he certainly could demolish it, that is absolutely correct. However, we did envision rezoning this, and, whether or not that happens requires some kind of demolition.
So wouldn't that argument be great if we landed the zone and then we got into the second part of this and talked about their actual site plan? The one thing I'm a little bit shocked by the commission about is most of the things that got brought up at the public hearing are not really what this application was about. And we're never actually, if this goes through, we're never actually going to talk about what the building looks like, what the materials are going to be, what the site plan would be. We're not going to talk about the traffic. The historical buildings, unfortunately, are insignificant to what we should be even looking at. I love the historical village, but I'm just shocked that
They're not within our control.
quotes,
They're
not within
our jurisdiction.
And I didn't say a word about historical buildings.
No, I'm
Design
just
whatsoever.
throwing that-
I'm concerned about the fact that we're talking about land in a zone that allows the existence of parking lots at the property line. That's what I'm looking at.
and that's a fair statement, which could be brought up in the actual part of the,
Well, okay, but I mean, we're talking about land in a zone that allows for parking
Mike?
lots. That's the
No, just from the public aspect, the barn structure everyone would like to see saved has already gone through the, as far as I know, has already gone through the 90-day
Yeah, you
demolition.
start doing,
So it could come down and,
I think the bigger problem is that this commission has not focused on planning. And we have not focused on planning for years and years since I've been on this commission. And once again, we're in a situation where our hands are tied. We're either going to take something that it seems as though the community doesn't want, or we're subject to what the property owner is going to do because we haven't zoned it for what the potential is for that site and what the community said that they wanted in the plan of conservation development. That potential ultimately would lead to higher tax revenue because we have higher density on the site. You could keep those historic properties, you could do infill, you could have parking in the rear that would accommodate the train station. There's so much potential there, but we've never allowed ourselves to have that potential because we're always playing catch-up.
Yeah, but now we're past that now. I mean, that boat sailed. And now we're faced with this. This is our problem. And now we're faced with it. I mean, we approve this. We go to step 2. We take a look at it. Who knows what's going to happen? There are things, but we can still control it. We deny it, we lose complete control of that property.
Alan?
Yeah, any modifications to the site plan that has been provided to us, the illustrative site plan that's been provided to us, aren't going to vitiate the traffic implications of this project at this location. getting on and off the site, off of 1 and off on Hull Avenue, 2 of the most congested areas in the width of Route 1. I mean, that kind of development, an automotive-oriented development, which a building of this size with a large parking lot and with a drive-through service is an automotive-oriented use. It's going to bring traffic, increased amounts of traffic to this area. It's 2 left turns off of Route 1 northbound or eastbound, whatever you want to call it. 2 left turns within a small area, in a narrow area of Route 1. It's just a traffic nightmare. It's a nightmare now, and we're going to make it substantially worse by virtual turning movements of both trucks and vehicles. No matter where the driveways are moved to, and I believe that the town plan of conservation and development is also pretty specific about the intentions regarding development in this area, that they should be of the character of a New England village, and there's no way that a large box store decorated with some columns on it is going to in any way recreate the character of the unique character.
What does a large box store have to do with the zone?
It has everything
It's
to
not a
do.
large box store. A large box store is
It's
Home Depot.
a pick-out box, large store. I have the floor. You asked to
Guys,
be recognized.
Alan has been recognized. Alan, are you done? We get your points. But here's the problem. Do you want nothing to go in there?
Absolutely not. I
Well,
don't
then-
want
then-
that. No,
then-
absolutely
then
not.
why is-
I want to create a situation where appropriate, a situation through zoning that we adopt, where appropriate development starts to take place in this town. We have just an incredible legacy of inappropriate development for the exact same reason that you used to justify this development. And it's about time this town, it better stop soon because it's destroyed this town and will continue to destroy this town. The
Can you
purpose
name
of-
one?
The purpose of...
Can you name
The
one?
purpose of planning is to give direction to development in this town, direction that serves the long-term interests of this town. We make short-term decisions based on short-term conditions, and we've never changed, so we continue to decline. And we decline, the property values decline, the commercial property values decline, the residential property values decline, and unless we turn things around by a kind of strong commitment to a vision for this town that developers have to respect.
Okay, Alan, I got it. Name one. You're on the record saying our town has been destroyed. Your words. What is the big building, the development? What is it that destroyed our town?
No, it's not a
Just said
single, no, it's a pattern. It's the same thing that you want to know it's a pattern, the same thing that created, non-conforming residences in the midst of industrial areas and non-conforming industrial areas in the midst of residential areas. Without consideration, things have been rezoned here and there randomly without consideration of the impact on the overall development of this town, the welfare, the safety, the health, the financial stability of this town. And it's time for a change.
I'd like to give an actual...
No, it's a pattern of development.
Alan,
It's a pattern of decision making.
You asked not to be spelled out. I'm going to give everybody an example of an area where decision-making by this body has decimated the town. It's very easy. So that's the Slavin property. You stand right across from Stop and Shop. 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, somebody wanted to do something there. And it got denied. There was a Wendy's. Can't have a Wendy's without a drive-thru. There was a Starbucks. Can't have a Starbucks. Oh my God, we can't have a Starbucks. If you stand across the street at Stop and Shop, they finally got a Walgreens in there. Okay? Picture it. When you look back at what's there, what looks good? The Walgreens or the two places next to it, the pawn shop and the R&T and the other applicant we have here, which we actually approved the use of as a landscape yard, that's what has killed our town. I've lived here my entire life. Listen, I don't want the Milford Strip out there, but I at least want to get to the point in the application where I can see what the building looks like, where I can see what, I don't know. I'm not in love with a CVS in the middle of my town. But you know what's worse? These properties that sit empty for 40 years.
So
And
let's-
that's reality.
Let's rezone it for what we envision.
I mean, if you drive, we'll give it to regulations and they can work on it.
Does the
Wait a
MSD
minute,
one?
let me finish. You made a comment that we don't do much for planning. We have a 43-page document that took 5 years to write, called the Plan of Conservation and Development, which actually says the Clinton Center is appropriate for more intensive redevelopment. I have the actual man who wrote most of it sitting here, who time after time says, I'm in favor, or is in harmony. He always uses the word harmony. I have the ex-chairman of Planning and Zoning on the record, and the other reason I bring it up is because we read it into the actual motion. He's actually the guy who hired this guy. So either we don't believe the professional, or it's up to us. I drove down Main Street today, and I did a little survey. I don't know how I could ever take, and I work on historic buildings. It's my passion. But I don't know how I could take the two groups seriously. Nobody ever brought me some numbers. Here's some numbers. So I took from Job Lot to the police station. I did a count. There are 106 structures. 61 are historic in nature. So I've heard over and over again, we're losing our historic houses. We're losing our historic houses. There's a place where they're doing drugs back there. That's the police. It's got vinyl siding or aluminum siding. So let's just take this and make it what it is. I'm not even counting Liberty Street, High Street. I live on Kelsey now. I got 5 or 6 historic houses up there. So I don't even get that issue. I want historic houses. That's why we created the historic district. That's what towns do. They have commerce, they have discipline. Do you know what does anybody here know what used to be across the street from where we're talking about? It was a grocery store, an actual grocery store. So when I hear, we don't want a big box, we have groceries, there's still, I mean, we broke it up, but it made it a couple of different things, but it was a grocery store. All I'm saying is, why can't we at least get to the point where, you know what, maybe, just maybe, if we have the courage to do this and to do it right, and with the train station hopefully coming, this actually could be the catalyst to change our downtown. I respect everybody who disagrees, but that's my view, is that after all these years, everybody says no, constantly.
When we
I
zoned
would
for
like
the
to raise,
Christine.
When we zoned for the MSD1, there was a discussion about trying to zone it for a mixed-use commercial environment. That failed. All we zoned it for was for a box. We never zoned it to allow for the 2-story mixed use with commercial below, residential on top. That failed. That motion failed. We don't have that option now. The only option we have is to move forward with a box, with a large parking lot, or our other option is to actually do some real planning in this town, to follow the plan of conservation and development, to take the first action item that this commission voted on, which was to look at the downtown. We have a master plan concept for the downtown. We have an action item to actually rezone those areas. That's our first action item that this commission voted on after we developed the plan of conservation and development. Have we done that? No, we have not done that.
I believe we actually amended it so that that was mixed use.
It's not.
Yes.
We do not do that. We don't have residential on top.
Yes,
we
well,
do.
you have the ability to have residential.
Okay.
They amended it.
It was, and
I have a memo that said you can.
But if we're speaking specific to this property, I mean,
Doesn't mean they have
it's going to be determined by what he wants, not what we want.
Listen, it's a passionate thing, but, you know, I personally don't like when people use.
pardon me, point of order. If the chairman wants to make a statement in favor of a motion,
I would like to,
he should pass the gavel. I mean, that's not the function, traditionally or otherwise, of the chair of this commission.
then I'm not allowed to have an opinion.
You know, you're totally allowed to have an opinion, but if you're going to express that opinion, you should give up the gavel.
I'm not expressing it anymore.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that procedurally that's appropriate.
All right, is it Carl's?
We're on Route 1. We have no decision.
Carl, I'm sorry, I can't let you speak.
You're not seated.
You're not seated. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. They're in and out, so everything else.
The two concerns for me, in looking at Lane and Florissant are the possibilities of the train station and the traffic. And both of those are manageable, or could be reported on to where we can make a better decision should another applicant come forward with a specific project. You know, the other thing, everybody talks about traffic. Well, if we have a bigger train station, guess what? More traffic. It's coming in and on the same road.
But not all day.
Don't you think it's a little bit silly that we've got this huge group of people who want the biggest train station possible, but we're also saying we don't want any traffic?
Yes, it's totally possible because the size of the train station doesn't necessarily, if you develop properly around it, doesn't imply additional traffic. Because hopefully the purpose of building transit-oriented development is that people will take the train. They won't need those cars to get around. That's what transit-oriented development is. Not sidewalks on the east
Why
or
were these
west.
people
Going
getting
to
to
direct
the
to the
train?
train station.
How are they getting to the train?
They can walk.
I live on
In
Chelsea Town.
transit-oriented development, right here. That's why it's approved in Old Saybrook, in Guilford, in Branford,
Alan, I
and
drive
that's why
to my
they're
mailbox.
expanding this.
The bigger train station isn't going to get more people to walk.
I work in Branford. That train station in Branford is packed with cars every day.
There's 300 spaces in.
I work
That's
there.
why they're rezoning the area around it.
They're actually making more parking, actually, at the train
Yeah,
station.
they are.
Yeah.
That's approved, and they're rezoning the area around it.
They have to go around it anyway.
We only have 141 properties.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, we need to have a vision for this town, or we let developers control the situation.
Anybody else?
I just want to add, here's the thing. A few people talked to me today. They went to Westbrook to get on. People go to Westbrook to take a train, because we can't get on the other side. The train station is supposed to be developed. I'm not saying, what we have now is unbelievable, is blight, it's blight. And I do believe that, they want to envision a nice place. But when I'm just saying, when we're here, we're elected by these people. And that's why I got angry when people kept saying they're historic buildings, they're not historic buildings. They're unbelievable. I said, go take a tour of them. But what I'm saying is, we had a vision that we all worked on for years. I've been on this commission 3 years. Next year I'm off, and that's it. I'm saying, in my last year, I'd like to see what we worked on. I'm one of the ones that did 190 questions. And Ensemble asked us to do it. John, I can attest, not everybody did it, but I'm a little upset because I answered 190 questions. I spent hours and hours and hours working on the POCD, along with a couple other guys. Not everybody on this commission turned to it. but I worked hard on that. And one of the things was the train station. That was huge. Now it's going away. But, oh, Saybrook just put 200 extra spaces in. They're full. Westbrook, Guilford, Madison, Clinton, they get nothing. We're down to 100 spaces. So what we worked so hard for, we're throwing it out the window. Anybody, you guys can all get mad at me, I don't care, because I only got a year left. I'll leave now, it doesn't matter to me. I'm telling you that we worked so hard on that POCD, and we're throwing it out the window. I have nothing against John, you know, the guy's a great guy. And then they make a right on that turn, and they go up that hill with a single axe truck. I drove a truck for 40 years. You ain't getting up that hill. It's gonna block off Mikey's place. He worked, Milano worked hard on his property. The traffic's horrible. You come down on Park at Beats' house, trying to get down to Route 1. You can't get out. So now we're gonna add to it. And you know, if you're gonna do this, you shouldn't have a drive-through. I'm telling you. And I'm just telling you, everybody fights all the time and everything, but I'm saying my piece. I'm not holding back anymore. We worked so hard on that VOCD, and now we're throwing it all out the window. And that's how I feel.
I'm going to hand the gavel to...
That's how I feel.
All right, let's talk about the drive-through for a second. So there was a woman in the public hearing who got up and said, why can't people drive through the drive-through? We all need to understand the drive-through is a little different than a McDonald's drive-through. If you have kids, you know why the drive-through is there. Nobody uses the drive-through till your kid is sick and throwing up in the car. And you know what? When I'm in there, please use the drive-through. It's for the elderly who are coming, and it's going to take them 15 or 20 minutes to get there. So let's not pretend that this drive-through is like Starbucks. Has anybody ever driven by a Walgreens? You ever seen a car in a drive-through?
Not too many.
Once.
No, never.
Although I can't speak. But it
Well,
doesn't
we
happen.
did.
We're all looking at that,
One way you did.
that maybe it won't be a CVS, maybe it could be something else. Maybe it could be
But we
something
can't
else.
control that.
So
No, we can't.
there's
It's
a couple
privately
issues here.
owned-
It's a floating zone, though.
So I'm going to leave you with this. I don't know if everybody here has actually gone there or grew up around it. We have a place in town where people hang out and do drugs, store their boats,
That's what they do.
green tarps and blue tarps on it.
Where's that?
I know a CVS isn't the best thing, but it's kind of like a prom date. I want to go to the prom with the most beautiful girl in the school.
You married the most beautiful girl.
Of course I did. But you know what? This is the date that'll take me to the prom. It's the one I want to go with.
Can I go with the vision? The vision of what I I'd like to leave with the vision of the types of projects I've seen, the organizations I've worked on, revitalize entire towns that are desolate and completely change them. And you have to have a commitment to rezoning, to redeveloping these areas. We don't seem to have that commitment. So we're just going to roll over and let any development come in because we have nothing else to offer.
Christine, you voted in favor of Giovanni Lawn Care on Route 1, and you're going to sit there and tell me.
There are
And I
other
say I
options on
voted
that
against
lawn care
it.
that's not.
I have a right to say it.
Alan and I voted against it, you voted for it, and now you're sitting here telling me that, I got this vision.
I do. They still have other options. We're also going to rezone that area. We want to
You're gonna
create
love
a node in
that.
that
That's a
area.
day-to-day.
It's not.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, you have to decide whether you want to be the chairman or you want to debate. You can't just keep sending the gavel next door when you want to debate.
Point of order, sir. There's other members listening, so let's leave the commission to join the meeting.
He said. Okay.
Kurt, you're in favor of it, right?
All in favor? Let's just clarify what we're doing.
Clarify motion.
It is a motion to deny landing zone.
Voting aye, voting deny.
Correct. All in favor of denial? Ellen?
Wait.
Tim?
5.
You need to tell me the names so I can reflect it.
If the public would stay out of this, it'd be great.
Ellen?
Ellen? Tim? Alan?
You don't take
Eddie?
any meds?
Christine?
I think so, meds.
Opposed to denied? Adam? Chris? Mike is abstaining. Motion carries.